Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good morning. So first, I'm going to talk about trading strategy, and then we're going to get into the market, the SPY, and what's expected from earnings. So first of all, trading strategy. Yesterday, I entered into Carnival Cruise Lines. When it took a major dip down to like 794, I made reference of it on our Discord. Then when Carnival Cruise Lines went to 793, my options got executed. I bought some calls. When it went up to 814, I exited out. So that's one trade. Next trade, Tesla. Got into Tesla when it was at $202, went down to like 199 or something to that extent, was down. Tesla popped back up, sold my options, took profit. Then my Affirm options that I was in, I noticed on the morning that the market was likely going down and open. Wouldn't surprise me if we do the same thing today. So I decided that I would sell my options and buy them back at a cheaper price. So I sold those options for $85 each, taking a bit of a loss. Then when they went to $55, I purchased the same position again. They went back to $85. I sold again. They then went down to like $69, $68. I bought in at 73. And again, they closed the day at 99. So again, you do not have to ride the elevator when you're trading an account, small account or otherwise. I used 1 day trade yesterday, but I was happy to do it rather than riding the elevator up, down, and back and forth. Okay, so let's talk about the main ingredients to trigger the market today. First off, we go back till Thursday and Friday. We had inflow yesterday into the market. So that's 3 days. Then if you look at the ETFs, which I like to do, and I look at the net flow going into the market versus out of the market, Unusual Whale sent an interesting tweet out this morning. And let me just see if I can find it. Where would it be? Definitely. Okay, so here it is. No capitulation. See, okay, so I'll just show you on my phone. You can see the red lines on the bottom, okay? Past recessions, there's been outflow from the ETFs, meaning SPY, Russell 2000, QQQ. These are all ETFs. So understand that there's still 50 million going into the market each day into these ETFs. Now, I'm not saying money's not leaving the market elsewhere, but these ETFs are gaining strength. So people are basically dollar cost averaging. When they're doing that and the institutions see support in this ETF and a big bunch of the support is coming from them, they will continue to buy. So again, we go back to Thursday, Friday, bought up. Yesterday, we tried to dip. I mentioned in this video on the live stream that we might see 375 and that we'd bounce off there. Well, that's what we saw to start out the day. We did bounce off there, went higher, and then we broke down to 373, which again is support. So let's talk about what we expect to see today and where the support lines are in the SPY. Let me see if I can pull this up. Boom. Let's see if that works. Okay. So let me go over here and break it down, and we'll go to the 3-hour chart so we can kind of see where we are. So right now, pre-market, we're sitting at 377.45. My pre-market analysis tells me that we will have a bounce off 377. If we drop past 377 on open, then it's likely we will see 375 or slightly there under. I have 374.50 again. So we sit it open at 377 to 378. If we drop under 377, there's a good chance, just like yesterday, we see 375 and then we bounce higher. That's where support was yesterday morning. History tends to repeat itself. So if you're going to get into some bullish positions, you want to wait until you see a drop and then support. If you're going to get into some bearish positions, then you want to look at where it rejected yesterday, which was 380. Okay? If I had to zoom out right now with all the other terrible shit going on in the world, I would still be short-term bullish, okay? Stocks are still extremely beat up. Earnings are coming out. GM wowed earnings. I mean, they crushed earnings. I think they're up maybe 1% or 2% pre-market. If there's downward pressure, I might look at GM today, something like that. Meta, if you look at Meta, who has earnings coming out, I believe next week. This week is Apple, Google, Amazon, but Meta next week. Tons of inflow yesterday, tons of inflow on Friday. So that tells me that Meta technically could surprise to the upside. So a lot of the market's volatility is going to be based on earnings. So as we fluctuate or just sit in between 377 and let's say 380, which was the high yesterday, we're going to focus on Apple's earnings and what they're forecasting for, Google and Amazon as well. Now, I thought China might bounce overnight. It did not. It was relatively flat for their Tuesday day of trading. However, you've seen some Chinese stocks pre-market this morning, maybe bouncing up 2 to 4%, something to that extent. I'm staying away from them. I don't trust China's stock market. I don't trust Chinese government, and I don't trust Chinese stocks listed on the U.S. exchanges. So I'm staying away. What I found that I like to trade lately is Palantir. I like to trade the SPY. I like to trade Affirm because I know its support and resistance. Once you enter the same trade over and over again, you know where it's going to peak out. And when it peaks, you secure profit. When it dips, you re-enter. Okay, so back to the SPY. Again, levels of support would be 375. If we break under, you'd expect to see yesterday's low of 373 and change. Me personally, based on the activity from last week and based on my charting that I share with Discord, I believe that we are going higher. So we pressed and broke 377 yesterday, 378. We did see 380 before it retracted. So my prediction yesterday was we're going to see 380 at some point. It's in play. So when we went to 380 and then we quickly pulled back to 377, not a surprise, but we did touch 380, and that's just like foreshadowing. It's telling you what's to be expected. All right, so let's get into the yield curves because I like to get into the 2-year, the 10-year, and the US dollar and see where those are this morning. So as we entered yesterday, we were sitting at 446 on the 2-year yield curve. Right now, this morning, we're sitting at 445. Okay, so we're down 1 basis point. Not a heck of a lot of movement. Okay, 10-year 416 yesterday, 416 today. Again, not a lot of movement. US dollar 112.50 yesterday, 112 flat this morning. So slight movement. So it tells me that the markets aren't going to be ugly. So for those invested in UVXY calls, which I follow from time to time, UVXY tracks volatility, tracks future volatility. But the point is that ETF, in my opinion, is manipulated. When the SPY goes down, that ETF is supposed to go up. We've seen both the SPY go down and that ETF go down. And then when the SPY goes up, that ETF goes down pretty hard. So I stay away from that ETF. But the point is, I don't see capitulation in the market. If I saw capitulation in the market, that's the only reason I would be in that ETF. If I saw capitulation for a day, say we spiked ridiculous like 389, and then we quickly knew we were going to sell off another 9 points, then I would jump into that ETF when you think there's going to be a huge downturn. But lately, I figured out that the SPY is much easier and much more profitable to trade than that ETF. Okay, so again, SPY, let's say we find support at 375 like I'm talking about, then I think, okay, where could the potential upside be? So I look at what the SPY has been doing for the past, let's say 5 days. We went a 4.5 point range, 6.5 point range, 8.5 point range, 7 point range, 8 point range, 11 point range, and yesterday was a 7 point range. So I say to myself, if we bottom at 375 and I add 7 to 8 points to find the top end of the range, we're talking about 382 to 383, okay? Now, let's say we bottom at 376, meaning the SPY doesn't drop below 376. You can take 7 to 8 points, add that, and the upside of the range would probably be 383 to 384, okay? So if we're trading today and you see the bottom, great, you know how to play going on to the upside, the top. Again, you don't enter at just random points. Let's say we bottom. We always tend to bottom twice, just like the term double top or triple top. There's double bottom, triple bottom, meaning once you see the bottom, then you have strategy, okay? Then you start planning and you say, if we see the bottom again, here's what I'm going to jump into. Now, it can be a stock like Ford that has some support, GM that just beat on earnings this morning. So if GM was to, and let me see if I can pull up that chart on GM. Give me a second, because I'll give you guys what entry points I would be looking for and how I would play this. And again, when a company announces earnings like General Motors did and they beat, it's an okay play. Okay, so here we are. Here's GM. Pre-market, it's up. Let me make sure I have it on the screen with you guys. I do not. So let me pull this up. Okay, so I've got GM on the screen, okay? It went up 2% yesterday going to earnings. 2% is about 70 cents. It is up over $1 this morning, so it's probably up 3%. So I would wait for them to sell off perhaps to this level right in here, which would be 35.40 around. Again, you're $1 higher, and what will likely happen is GM will likely get sold off upon market open. We know stocks have earnings. They shoot up pre-market. You'll see a quick blip up, and then all of a sudden they'll drop. It's like when they buy the rumor and sell the news. Well, the news is GM had good earnings. So what I would look is I would look for the bottom of GM today and possibly later this week. If I was going to say possibly the bottom later this week, I might say 34.22. If I was going to look for the bottom today, I might say something like 35.41. All right. And I'm basing this on the previous day's charts. And when I say days, I mean I'm going back a few days. So again, GM goes on my watch list. If I like GM and it's up 3% pre-market or a full dollar, there's no way I'm jumping in at open. I'm going to wait and see if it retracts. If it retraces to the points that I'm looking to enter, that's my strategy. Now, if GM does not retrace and it stays up 3%, then it goes up 7% and 3% up to 8%, whatever it is on the day, guess what? It's just not a trade for me. So again, there are a lot of times there's not a trade for me. Now, I did make a mistake yesterday. I entered into a trade prior to 10:30 a.m. Now, I like to wait till at least 10:30 a.m. And lately I've been waiting till 11, 11:30, even 12 o'clock to enter a trade. Why? Because I like to see patterns. And in order for the daily pattern to develop, you need as much data as possible. So just watching the market from 9:30, which is when it opens, okay, for the first 20 minutes, it could fool you. It could drop down hard. Meanwhile, the institutions have intent on buying the market today. Or vice versa. It could spike up and you're going to be like, okay, let me jump in, let me chase. And then all of a sudden at 10:15, the market drops and goes in the opposite direction. So you're down 40% on your options. You do have money on the side. You're thinking about averaging in, but if you average down too soon and the market drops from 10:30 to 11 o'clock, or it spikes, whatever your position is, opposite your position, not only are you going to be down that 40% from your opening trade, but you're going to average down. So you'll be down 40% all the way to now down 13%. And now you're down 40%, but you're down 40% on your entire account because you over leveraged yourself. So I would definitely stay away from that. Okay. So again, when I look at the SPY and the trading ranges, we're just going to go back again to Monday of last week. We gapped up. We went from like 361. We opened at 364.50. High is 368. You know what? Let me bring my chart with me so I can just show you guys what I'm seeing, and hopefully you guys will see the same, and you can analyze with me. Now, nothing goes straight up or down. So let me pull up my chart. Let me bring it a little closer here for you guys to see. Okay, so we had last Monday, 364. We gapped up. You can see I centered the middle line, but we closed towards the high yesterday. So we closed all the way up here. So when you look at the chart, again, nothing goes straight up. So you're not looking at skyrocket. You're looking at go straight up. Then we retracted for 2 days, found a new base. We did push a lot higher on Friday, and then we followed it up with a 7-point move or range yesterday, finishing close to the high, which is 380. So we broke through the previous resistance. Let's remember the previous resistance or support line, right, was 371. And I mentioned that last Thursday, and I mentioned it a number of times on Discord. I'm like, 371, it's been attacked a few times. It's likely to break through. And when we break through, we're going to see 375. Not only did we break through that day, we saw 375, but then we retracted to 373 yesterday and then popped to 380. So again, in my estimation, and this is just my opinion, my guessing based on the patterns that I see, based on the buying and the volume in the market, based on outside factors of the market, and I'm going to mention a few more factors later in the week that could actually bring the market back down. Okay. So yes, I am short-term bullish. I believe we'll see 383 on the SPY today. As we sit pre-market, let me just see where we're sitting pre-market on the SPY. You know, let's just do it from the phone. It's so much easier sometimes. All right. So we're sitting on the SPY pre-market down 0.44, 377.20. Now, again, I happen to think if we see, and it's only 844, if we see below 376, The number yesterday was 376.63. Okay, so pay specific attention to 376.63 because that is a dark pool level. So when I mentioned it yesterday, I said plus or minus 20 cents. So when you take minus 20 cents, you're 376.43. Okay, so that would be my support line. 376.43. If we break under there, then yes, we're going to see 375 flat and probably slightly there under. Again, you have to play the momentum. So again, I'm telling you, 376.63. If we break under, you'll see a whole another $1.50 under, which is 0.5% on the SPY. That is a big move. If you're playing options, you could look to secure 30, 35, 40% on a move like that. So that's the key number. Also on support, so 376.63. If you add 20 cents to it, it's 376.83. So it can be support can be anywhere in between the 83 and the 43. But that's where I think we're going to see support. So if we open and we open down like we've been doing lately, and then we see a quick bounce within the first, I think it's probably about 12 to 14 minutes of the day, and then you want to see what it does at 378. Likely when it hits 378, it'll break north to 380. And then you have to look at the high from yesterday, which was $380.14 on the SPY. And you have to see if it breaks through. If it does, 383 is in play. So if you come up with a strategy and you said, okay, it broke through, but now it's back down, but Matt told me he thinks 383 is in play. Great. As it's going down and find the support, whether it be at 378, 377, that's when I buy options. It being Tuesday, I will say to myself, let me go out till Friday with the SPY. All right, because that gives me enough chance to be right. I'm buying it Tuesday morning, let's say 11 a.m., right? So that gives me Wednesday, Thursday, and the entire day of Friday. Again, what could hurt my position is if we consolidate or go down or earnings miss. Okay, so earnings misses from Apple, Google, Amazon. Real quick, today at 8:30, which probably just happened already, we have the consumer confidence level. Tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., we have new home sales. So we already know that the housing market kind of sucks. Housing pricing is going down. The 30-year mortgage is at like a 32-year high right now. So yes, it's putting downward pressure on the housing market. The only thing we haven't seen happen yet is if earnings start completely missing and then people get fired and lose their jobs, then 100% will be in a full-blown recession. Oh, real quick comment. For those of you who joined Moomoo, to join me on Moomoo. If you haven't, there's a link below. You open an account, you get one free stock. Deposit $100, you get 5 free stocks. 2,000, you get 15 free stocks. Plus, if you do this before December, I think it's 20th, you get an extra $10 coupon. So let's just say you put on $100, $100 in, 5 free stocks plus a $10 coupon. Where do you claim these? When you're on the Moomoo account, you go to a little icon that says rewards. You just click on the rewards. It'll have the little coupon. Oh, claim coupon. Boom. Claim stock. Boom. I did it the other day. I was like, oh, look at all these rewards. Claim stock, claim stock, claim stock, claim stock, claim stock. And I did it like a bunch of times. And I got BB. I got Fuel Cell. I got DraftKings. I got 1 share, but this is previously, of Apple. And I got 1 share of Coinbase previously. So there are some good value stocks. There are some $3 and $4 stocks, $17 stock, $64 stock, and like $145 stock. So it's open there. But the point is, it's free money. You open an account, 1 free stock. But you have to hit the rewards button to find all your stuff. That was the point. Okay, so again, back to the market. I'm looking for certain stocks. Let me just tell you what other stocks are on my watch list. Again, we're sitting 377.47 pre-market. So if we don't break 377 down, that is a bullish sign. Okay, yeah. Fourth quarter stocks, okay? Appreciate everybody staying with me. These are not option plays. These would be longer term investments. And I would say 6 months to 9 months out. And probably you want to even hold even longer with these named stocks. So the first is Disney. It's a mix. Some people like Disney. Some people hate Disney and think it's still overvalued. Now understand, Disney performs extremely well in the fourth quarter. People are back at their parks, which used to generate 90% of their revenue. It doesn't do that anymore. Plus, they are a streaming service, and streaming services have support, in my mind. You look at Netflix, Roku, I believe they bottom. Then you look at FedEx, FDX, okay? It's also been bought up, I believe, for a couple days. Yeah, probably for like the last week. When they had earnings and FedEx dropped from $212 all the way down to $145, they started buying FedEx. Now FedEx is sitting at 155 pre-market this morning. So you're talking about it's literally 6% off the low after earnings. They tend to outperform in the fourth quarter because more people are sending holiday gifts and things of that nature. So again, I look at Disney, I look at FedEx, longer term investments, 6 to 9 months out. Could they go lower? The most FedEx is going to drop by is maybe the 6% that it just gained, but it's a long-term investment. Disney, it would have been great to get in Disney at $94 the other week, or even $96, but it didn't. It went down to $90 or slightly there over. So again, you're up about 10% on Disney. It's not a terrible time to jump in because Disney could close at $130 next year. So from $100 to $130, you're talking about a 30% return next year. We're definitely going to be entering recession, or the rest of the world will be in recession. So again, these are long-term plays for me. What else might I enter for long-term play? Tenet Healthcare. I mentioned this one the other day. It dropped to, I think, $37 yesterday. So Tenet Healthcare, THC, right? We all can remember THC. THC dropped from like $55, had earnings, healthcare company, dropped to like $39 yesterday. It was as low as 37 and change. Right now it's at $39. So could it go down? Yes. The downside would be maybe 10%, which would be like 36, maybe 35.99. The upside potential is that it's going to fill this gap back to $53 to $55, probably within 6 months. So if you say 6-month timeline, you get in at 39 and you sell it at 55, that's $16 return. That's about 41%. So again, we spoke about Disney. You could potentially hold Disney for 9 months and get 30%. THC, you could probably hold on for 6 to 9 months and get 40%. FedEx looks like it likely bounced up. Now, FedEx would probably be a long-term hold. I'd probably hold FedEx for years. FedEx, UPS, whenever they get hit, institutions are buying into these kind of stocks. All right, so hopefully everybody appreciated that. I will see everybody tomorrow morning. Again, the Moomoo link is below. I don't see any questions on the side. So again, if you have any questions, please ask. If not, have a successful day of trading. See you guys tomorrow morning, and I'll see you Discord soon.